Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Apophis here, and welcome back to a brand new upload, Tuesday upload on Apophis Taking Reviews. This is the 150th subscriber special on this channel. Yes, you heard me correctly. I'm finally at 150 subscribers. I'm so grateful, and today I'm gonna upload something very, very cool. No, I'm not talking about ST Dupont cool. I'm talking about cool, right? So yeah, in front of you, as you might have seen, I have the legendary James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. This is the reference number 126660, and this has been my daily driver when it comes to luxury watches for quite some time now. Now, of course, we're gonna talk about the new releases for 2024 because, of course, Rolex introduced on Watches and Wonders 2 new models of the Deepsea Sea-dweller, right? We're gonna talk about the legendary James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller in general, the history behind the watch. We're gonna talk about all the different models and I've watches in the Rolex catalog, and we're gonna talk about why I bought this watch, why this is so special, and why this is still one of the most collectible watches in the whole entire world. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Liam, also known as Apophis, and I'm doing watch reviews, design reviews, luxury item reviews, and technology reviews. Without scripting, without sponsorship. So if you love this type of videos, please like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications to get updated on future uploads. And without further ado, let's get into the review of the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. Alright, so before we dive deeper into the history of the Deepsea Sea-dweller and the actual review of this watch, I'm gonna do a wristwatch check because, of course, this wouldn't be an Apophis Taking Review wristwatch video if I didn't do a wristwatch check. Today in this video, I'm also wearing a Rolex while reviewing a Rolex. This is the 2021 116508 Rolex Paul Newman Daytona. Let's switch the camera and take a closer look at this Daytona before we take a closer look at the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here she is then in all her might and glory. My 2021 reference 116508 Paul Newman Daytona. Now, why is this called a Paul Newman Daytona? Reason why is because this dial is very special. You have a chronograph subdial for at 9, 3, and 6 o'clock. The 6 o'clock is your seconds end. The 9 o'clock is your 12-hour increments. And of course, your 3 o'clock is your 30 minutes increments. Now, of course, this is used to measure speed of a car in certain time lapse and distance. And this, of course, is named the nickname Paul Newman because the dial is very special. This might look like a glossy black dial, but it's not. In certain light angles, and I don't know if you can see or the camera is picking up, in some light angles, this is actually a matte black dial. The reason why it's also called Paul Newman Daytona is because the subdials at 3, 9, and 3, 9, and 6 o'clock are slightly raised and have a certain pattern on the subdials. Very, very beautiful. If we unscrew the first chronograph pushers, this will activate your chronograph, and now your time lapse has started. Now the car is now driving on the Le Mans circuit, and now you are seeing the chronograph seconds hand in motion, while still your real second hand is still working and running. Now, for example, the car now passes the finish line. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And now you can see that the car in this time lapse in less than a minute is driving at a speed of 174 miles per hour. So this is actually the classic way how to measure speed of a car or a moving object without the modern technology of, a stopwatch or a digital chronograph. If we push the bottom chronograph pushers, it will automatically reset the Daytona's chronograph functions, and you can start all over again. Very, very gorgeous timepiece, and my second most expensive timepiece next to my Audemars Piguet 15400 in rose gold. So now that we got the wristwatch check out of the way, quick shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so much for 150 subscribers. This has honestly been a dream for me, and I hope I will get many, many more subscribers along the way, along this review journey, along this hobby that I have right now. It's very fun to do. It's very fun to make videos, to produce videos, and talk about my passions and, explore these topics and these things with you guys. So thank you, and now enjoy the review of the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. Alright, so now that we got the formalities out of the way and the wristwatch check out of the way, let's talk about the second generation Deepsea Sea-dweller. And let's talk about how this watch came to be, how Rolex developed this, what was the market behind it. Let's talk about the history, because there is a lot to talk about with this watch, of course. Let's situate it in, of course, the Rolex catalog and where this watch sits in terms of dive watches you can buy. And let's talk about availability. Let's talk about the pros and cons, and of course the overall specifications of this dive watch, and explore a bit what makes this watch so special. So without further ado, grab a popcorn, grab a snack, and enjoy this review of the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. Alright, so before we can get into the specifications of this watch and how the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller came to be, we gotta explore the history behind this piece, and goddamn is there a lot to talk about. And to start all of this, you need to go back to the 1950s when Rolex introduced their most popular model to date, and that is the Rolex Submariner, the smaller version or the smallest version in the Rolex dive watch catalog, and also the modern iteration, the most popular and most high demand Rolex watch you can buy on the planet. I will put two versions right here. You have the Rolex Hulk Submariner, which is discontinued, and the Submariner Date black on black with the black ceramic dial and black ceramic bezel. These are the two most popular Rolex divers on the planet, next to, of course, the Bluesy, which is a Rollersor 18 karat yellow gold central links, and of course a blue sunburst dial with blue ceramic, also a very popular model, but not as hard to get as, for example, you know, a classic Rolex Submariner Date black on black with the date or with the date, or without the date. And then of course the Hulk or the Kermit, which is still one of the most sought after Rolex models, modern Rolex models. Now, of course, back in the day in the 1950s when they released this timepiece, the Submariner got a lot of attention because no one has ever done this aspect of building a stainless steel sport watch for diving or deep sea exploration. This was just the starting point for Rolex, and this watch really put Rolex on the map amongst collectors and non-watch enthusiasts, because there are a lot of people that buy the Submariner just because it's a status symbol and everyone knows the Submariner, but don't know shit about their watch, of course. Not saying that you don't have a nice watch, but if you buy a watch, please learn the history behind the timepiece and you will get much more appreciation for anything when it comes to the watch collecting hobby. So yeah, 1953, the production of Rolex Submariner came into play. 1954, they showcased it in Geneva to the world to, you know, say we are starting deep sea exploration, and this watch can actually go into major depths without breaking seals, without letting water inside of the watch and ruin the internal mechanism, the movement. Now, of course, the modern generation uses in-house movements. Now, back in the day when the Submariner was first released, they used ETA-based movements. It's kind of the same thing, you know. It all started somewhere, and it went better and better and better with the more generation that follows, and of course with more technology that became readily available. Then after the Submariner in the 1970s, they released the Sea-dweller, the bigger brother of the Submariner. The Submariner is 40 millimeters, the Sea-dweller is 43 millimeters. Now, most people know this normal Sea-dweller. When we're talking about the Sea-dweller 43, we're thinking about the black on red, which is of course the black ceramic bezel, black ceramic dial with the Sea-dweller logo in red. Now, of course, when the Sea-dweller was first released, they didn't have that red text on the dial. They implemented that later. And then, of course, in 2008, they first released the 11660, or the first generation Deepsea Sea-dweller, not the James Cameron, but of course the black on black version, which I will put a photo right here. Yes, this watch is chunky. Yes, this watch is big. Same thing goes with the second generation, of course, but it's more wearable, as you might see, and as I will explain when we go into the specifications of this timepiece, of course. Then in 2014, no, actually in 2012, someone famous came to Rolex and said, I want to do a deep sea exploration. And that name was James Cameron, the famous movie maker of Avatar and many different other movies. Besides movie making, he was a deep sea exploration. He loved diving, and of course, who else did Rolex go to build up the history and explore the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench? Now, on his wrist in 2012, he wore this timepiece, the Rolex James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller, how we nickname it now, with the Deep Blue Dail. Now, this was, of course, the 116660 variant, which has a lot less features and a lot less improvements when it comes to, of course, the case and bracelet and the wearability. There was a different shade of dial as well, etc. There were many different types of differences between the second generation and the first generation James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller. But this was a watch that Rolex produced for himself. Only in 2014, Rolex brought the James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller on the market for us, the normal consumer, right? Then in 2018, they released a newer version, so this one, the 12660 James Cameron, to commemorate that deep sea exploration. Now, this isn't the biggest Rolex you can buy. No. In 2022, they released a commercial version of this one. In the 1960s, they already started the deep sea exploration with a experimental Rolex model. I will put a photo right here. Then in 2012, they released, of course, a Deep Sea Challenger. This was also an experimental watch. You could not buy it. This was purely for Rolex and was water resistant to 12,800 meters. There we go. Beautiful, chunky piece of metal. Now, of course, this watch was made out of stainless steel instead of the RLX titanium that they use on the commercial version that's available right now. So, of course, it was heavy. No one in their right mind would buy that type of watch, right? So there's only one version of the original available. Now the commercial version is water resistant up to 11,000 meters instead of 12,000 meters. So in that regard, there are a couple changes that they brought to the modern interpretation of this watch. I've never seen it in person, and I think it would look ginormous, because this is already ginormous, 44.5 millimeters, but the Deep Sea Challenge is 50 millimeters. Like, that is a very big, chunky watch. It's more of a statement piece, or to add to the collection of your insane dive watches. You could probably have the Deep Sea Challenge, the Ultra D by Omega, the Deep Sea Sea-dweller, either the James Cameron version or the black on black, and then of course a Submariner and a Seamaster. That's kind of the idealistic dive watch collection that I see in modern dive watches. Now, so of course, this model was first released, the 12660 was released in 2018 up to 2023, and in 2023 they released the 13660 reference, which has a lot of changes when it comes to the case back. Now, of course, same functionality, same water resistance, but a little bit more improvements to the basic usability of this timepiece. So without further ado, let's switch the camera and take a closer look at this watch. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here she is in all her might and glory. Reference 12660, or the second generation of the Deepsea Sea-dweller James Cameron edition, or well, in general, the Deep Blue James Cameron version. Beautiful, beautiful watch, especially up close. When we're playing with the light, you can see that this dial goes from dark blue to light blue, and it really plays with the light quite well. I love this effect so much. How can you actually recognize that this is a second generation Deepsea Sea-dweller? It's the crown engraved between Swiss and made on a 6 o'clock position. It's a nice fun detail in order to recognize the first generation Deepsea Sea-dweller from the second. And of course, the gradient blue dial is a little bit changed when it comes to color tones and richness. Now, on top rests a 5mm sapphire, domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, and you can actually
actually see that while I'm tilting the watch, it actually plays with the dial, but also plays with the crystal. And as you can see, it's slightly domed. It's not flat, it's domed, and it gives you that beautiful distortion effect in certain light angles. Very, very, very nice. Now, of course, on this watch, we have a unidirectional 100-inch click bezel. Very nice to handle, very snappy. It does require a bit of force. It's not as easy to grip as, of course, for example, a Blancpain 50 Phantom bezel, but it's very, very intriguing to do. Of course, original gas escape valve ring lock system text like on the original Deepsea Sea-dweller in black. Of course, you have the helium escape valve right here, which allows the watch, which allows the helium to escape at bigger depths. Then, of course, on the back, how you can recognize this, that it's a second generation Rolex Deepsea Sea-dweller. It still has the old case back with, of course, the 904L. The 904L case back with the grade 5 titanium in the middle. On the 13660, it actually is made out of solid RLX grade 5 titanium. So that's the difference between the second generation and the third generation. Very, very beautiful watch. This is my favorite watch in my collection on a daily basis. Very, very stunning. Of course, the bezel is ceramic, which will scratch less, and of course be more durable than aluminum, which aluminum scratches much more easily and is less durable. If we grab a scissor on this sapphire crystal and scratch the watch, you can actually see that there's not a scratch on this thing. You cannot scratch it without with anything except for a diamond, or maybe some diamond tools or diamond coated materials. So that's the strength of a sapphire crystal, and this sapphire crystal is thick. Of course, the rehod is fully engraved. Yeah, it's like any Rolex. I mean, this is nothing special to the Deepsea, but it's a nice touch. I love it, and it reflects in the lighting. Oh, I love this timepiece. This is my favorite timepiece. I wear it every single day. The Daytona that I showed you in the start of this video is more for special occasions, and this one is to wear on a daily basis. I love this timepiece so much. Now, of course, when talking about the clasp, you have the classic glide lock clasp that you get on any Deepsea watch with on-the-fly adjustment. You just pop this open and you get a on-the-fly adjustment on the wrist. So let me showcase you this. So you can actually flip this open then, and then of course adjust the timepiece to your liking, and then of course close the watch. It's a twin lock system, so of course if you open this, you cannot get this open unless you pull the lever up. Very, very interesting, very snappy and beautiful. Look at this on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. I love this watch. It's big, it's chunky, but it wears very different than the original 11660, which is less tapered down. The lugs were also a bit more wide, so it wore more chunky and much less elegant. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, of course, I have trouble wearing this, but I love it for all the right reasons, especially when wearing it above the bone. I think it looks perfect. In my humble opinion, it's big, it's chunky, but this is a statement piece. You wear this watch to be seen, and it's a statement piece of engineering and craftsmanship. Right, so another thing I wanted to show you with that glide lock is, of course, the diver's extension, which you do not get on the 13660, so the third generation. So you actually get this diver's extension, which you can allow the watch to wear over a wetsuit. It is a nice addition, and I do think the 12660 has that edge over the newer generation 13660.
Alright, so what are my overall humble opinions on the Deepsea Sea-dweller? I love it, and I would recommend anyone who saved up a bit of money, if you want to buy a Rolex, don't wait 2 to 3 years for the Submariner, get yourself on the wait list for a James Cameron Deepsea Sea-dweller and get it within 6 months to a year, sometimes even faster. Of course, it's a very high demand watch, but still a little bit less hard to get than, of course, your classic Submariner. Of course, it wears big. Of course, it's wear chunky, but I love it, like I said, for all the right reasons. And as you still can see on the 95th 16 centimeters circumference wrist, it actually wears quite well. I don't think it's too chunky at all. I love this watch, and do I think it's worth its money? Yes. So thank you for watching my Deepsea Sea-dweller review. Thank you so much, guys, for 150 subscribers, and I will see you in the next video where I review my Rolex Daytona. Peace out. Whoosh.